fan of music, have you ever wanted to discuss your favorite artists or albums online? If so, I'm sure you've stumbled on some sort of toxic internet discourse at least once. I found myself increasingly frustrated with music discourse recently. It's all felt extremely toxic on a rapidly increasing rate. I mean, it's always been toxic, but as time goes on, I just feel like it gets worse and worse and worse. I'm clearly not alone in this feeling. There's been multiple videos on how music discourse is dead, or at least talking about how bad it all is. And as someone who's rather passionate about music, I find it really sad that there seems to not be a good place for music discussion. Whether you're seeing discussion in more enthusiast spaces such as AOTY or radio music, or whether you're seeing discussion more layman music spaces such as Instagram, I feel like both of these groups of people, despite looking at music through a radically different mindset, have a lot of overlapping features which leads to the discussion in communities both being quite toxic. Such as
rap music, hip-hop, R&B shit is usually 90% of it is shit.
rage bait has existed for years. It used to be called trolling around the 2010s and has quickly shifted to being termed as rage bait. It's rather easy to understand. Just say something you don't really mean that, upset people. A really recent music example of this would be if I could comment something like, the new Curation album has absolutely zero good songs and is only glazed by chronically online Zoomers. Understandably, people would get upset and likely try starting an argument with me, and this would give me a kick because I want to fire people up. It's very reactionary. It immediately muddies discourse because after a while, it's hard to tell who's sincere and who's not. We all have our hot takes, some more egregious than others, but with the rise of rage baiting, it leads to people being more defensive online and accuse those with genuine hot takes of rage bait, which easily terminates discussion. As a AOTY user myself, I've seen this happen so much recently, and it's frustrating to see. There is this new desire to constantly defend your opinions and scream them the loudest to ensure everyone hears them. However, I also see these in places like Instagram and Twitter. When I used to use Twitter, X, what fucking ever. There's also arguments for these places fostering rage bait due to their bite-sized nature. Most people on there do not come on there to read fully formed arguments. People tend to gravitate towards those who share similar viewpoints or characteristics to them online or offline. It often takes a conscious effort to try and be more open-minded and accept different viewpoints. However, I feel like this unwillingness to accept opinions, especially online, is what causes a lot of conflict and toxicity there, which isn't even exclusive to music discourse. In music spaces, I often see a lot of people sharing the same or similar music tastes, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's honestly just a feature of these music spaces. Those on AOTY or radio music will praise the same few genres: post-rock, experimental hip-hop, art pop, ambient, and denounce lower art genres such as trap music. As a result, there's this assumption that if you don't like these beloved genres, that you just don't get it. Now, this isn't me saying that having similar taste to our basic taste is a bad thing. Quite far from it. The issue lies from when you are not open-minded to accept differing opinions, or when you will bash other people for not sharing the same opinions. A need to conform would likely seep into any community no matter where it's hosted, even offline. And is also increased by these online communities due to how insular they may feel. Back to my rage baiting point. It is so effective because it goes against a hive mind, reference not intended, in these communities. There's also clear in-groups and out-groups associated with liking and disliking certain artists. I mean, this has existed for years. Mulecore was born of this. If you're online enough, you'll start to see patterns in the artists and types of music that people from different communities like.
They content create, I despise that.
I think that rating music and sorting it into charts and lists does fuck up people's perception of it. Rating art in general, honestly, feels similar to grading exams and seems to objectify something as subjective as music. Though this is total pot to kettle talk, because as I said earlier, I'm an AOTY user. What I try not to do though is obsess over these scores and chart placements. I often rate music as a log of my own opinion and try not to take my scores or other people's scores all that seriously. How many times have you seen people whine about Fantano's scores? It's everywhere. People wrongfully blame him for ruining music discourse. However, I think the impact Fantano has had in worsening discourse is a symptom of the toxic mentality a lot of these people in these spaces have, rather than a cause. And those who claim not to care about him ultimately still care about him when he presents an alternative opinion on an album they may like or dislike. They'll complain about a score, but oftentimes not even watch the full review where he explains how he came to that score. He's flawed, and I disagree with a ton of his takes. His take is still fucking crazy to me. But it's okay. He may have a ton of influence, but at the end of the day, he's just one guy. Additionally, regardless of what space you're in, there's this certain rush to listen to as much music as possible to be in the know. Things move so fast online that there's a constant fear of missing out. I found myself feeling this way a lot too, honestly. It's consuming music versus savoring it, which also leads to a further dilution of music discussion. I've often found myself changing my opinions on music after revisiting it a few times, or at least having a more balanced viewpoint on it. However, what I often see is people immediately jumping to form their opinion on an album or single or an artist after the first impression, which leads to a lot more reactionary opinions. Like someone who heard an album once and is like,
"This is fucking terrible,"
without taking the time to go and sit down and maybe look at the songs through a different lens, or maybe at least try to understand the appeal of it. I love Topsis as concept. Funnily enough, I've gotten quite a few friends to make Topsis of their own and compare them with each other. From my experience, they've enjoyed being able to show their favorite music on an easy-to-read chart, and it allows them to think about the music they listen to. It started really cool discussions. Additionally, I sometimes make private Topsis of my own every few months to see how my music taste evolves over time. However, the issue with Topsis lies with how they're discussed online. Some people on there clearly use it as an extension of the person they want to represent, putting music that's objectively good there to make it look better. I think Topsters should be a medium to discuss favorite albums or recommend new music, rather than just attracting W music taste or expand your taste comments. They also have a tendency to flood subreddits and get repetitive incredibly quickly. In mid-2023 onwards, I was honestly really pretentious. I just graduated high school and was looking for something to occupy my time before I went to college. Music quickly became that, which was great, until the worst of music communities rotted my brain. Suddenly, I needed to curate my music taste through Last.fm, Topsters, my own AOTY profile at a time. It was incredibly appealing for me to have charts to quickly show my favorite music. Talking to people in real life about the music I liked wasn't really an option for me, and I couldn't have a stranger on the internet to have a chat with me about my favorite albums. Thus, I take screenshots of my Last.fm and make Topsters and post them online. I would do this to a compulsive extent, by the way. I would do this every fucking week. I'd avoid listening to an album too much to keep my charts diverse. I'd avoid listening to certain songs or albums or types of music to avoid embarrassment. It became its own fixation for me, this constant cycle of curation. I liked people perceiving the music I listened to more than actually listening to it. Looking back, it was clearly driven by a desire for community and the loneliness I was experiencing at the time. It makes me view this toxicity in a new lens. It's easy to get mad and say, wow, music fans are so insufferable. But I also think it's a result of younger or more isolated teenagers dominating music discourse. Naturally, the older you get, the more responsibilities you're gonna have, and as a result, the less time you'll spend online. Yes, I know this makes me sound fucking old. When I started college, I found myself really swamped with work and other things, so I naturally focused less on music curation. I also talked to more people, found my communities, and realized the futility of a lot of music discourse online. Like, if I'm interacting with people in real life and playing music for them, nobody's gonna give a fuck about how many monthly listeners the artist you're playing has. Overall, I don't believe there's any set good place for music discourse. Additionally, it's also very hard to even find a good curated online space to discuss music in. The nature of social media does not foster a good environment for music discourse. Its algorithms often reward either posts that will garner a lot of attention and clicks, or posts that will garner a lot of engagement, such as rage-baiting posts. Well, if there's no set good place for music discourse, no good website I can reliably discuss music with online, what do I do if I still want to discuss my favorite music with people online? Well, for me, what has helped me is disconnecting from spaces that I know have not been good for me in discussing music. I have tried to withdraw from the internet in general because I feel like my overconsumption of online content had also negatively impacted my life. I also chose to seek out good interactions with those I think are more passionate about discussing their favorites, or at least are willing to approach music discussions in good faith. Additionally, I want to add that you should try to not let these music spaces make you feel like you have to change your opinions in order to fit a norm. If you like an artist that is mostly disliked online, well, more power to you. Like what you like. It's sad to see some people feeling like they have to alter their taste or fix their taste in order to fit a sort of mold of what is considered as good music. Don't let someone online make you feel like you have to abandon your favorite things. And try to disconnect if you find yourself unsatisfied or overwhelmed by music discourse or online discourse in general, honestly. Life is more than music discourse. Life is more than the internet.